Let's start with the mission and branding identity work that you've already done as part of this online course. That's the starting point for where you want to think about creating events and opportunities that are going to appeal to new audiences. Frederick Buechner, an American minister, famously said that your calling is where your deep gladness and the world's deep hunger meet. And that's the kind of question that you need to be able to answer to have a really effective, engaging set of opportunities for visitors and newcomers. You want to find out what's most deeply connected to your mission that's an authentic expression of who you are, and then how does that interact with the specific context of your congregation and your community, and what those needs are and what those opportunities are. So if you can think about that, imagine that your congregation's sense of mission and branding is really around sustainability and sustainable living. Then you would want to understand, well, what are the biggest needs around sustainable living in our community? What are the topics and issues that come up most often in conversation, that are coming up at the city council, in the papers, at the news, that folks are talking about at big events? Right? And then you want to figure out how you can use that sense of your mission for sustainability to speak to that. And that's exactly what happened in a case study that you're going to find in the Love Reaches Out study guide, which you'll find linked in the course description, and that helps congregations walk through a series of sessions about how they can do better outreach. And the case study is of Troop UU Church in Pasadena, California, and it's a smaller church with a bigger building, and a lot of the members of the church there had been involved in environmental sustainability and ending the American reliance on fossil fuels. So the members had been involved already, and they really embraced that as a sense of the mission for their congregation, started planting a garden on their property so the folks driving through Pasadena could see that. Then when they got a new minister, that person took it the next step of helping to connect with different kinds of community leaders in the way that we talked about earlier in some of the modules about kind of canvassing your community and understanding how people see you, and use that as an opportunity to build more relationships with folks who cared about environmental justice and sustainability. The garden that the congregation members started became a learning garden. The congregation became a really well-known and respected partner for environmental issues in the community, and helped to raise its profile, and certainly grow its ministry, if not even its membership. So that's the kind of integrated example of building relationships, using the opportunities and the assets that you have to generate some real response and relationship in the community. In session 3 of Love Reaches Out, you'll find an activity that leads your congregation through this very conversation called the sweet spot. And with the sweet spot, you've got two figures, a circle and a square. The circle is your congregation, and the square is your community, and they overlap a little bit. And the exercise draws on the same kinds of questions that we've used to talk about mission and brand identity, but it puts a nice specific spin on them so that you're really drawing from people's own emotions and experiences. So the first question for your circle is about 3 programs or events that folks in your congregation really get excited about and show up for. And so you would write that in the circle. And then the second question is about 3 times when you or other folks in your congregation have felt most Unitarian Universalist, most connected to your sense of faith identity. That's going to show you where the energy is in your congregation. Then, for your community, you write down the answers to these questions. 3 of the most exciting places or events, and 3 things that just break your heart. And that's going to tell you where both the energy and the need is in your community. And so, of course, the place where those things overlap is going to be your sweet spot. That's where you want to explore opportunities for engaging with your target audiences. And we're going to talk about that in the next lecture. But the real key to the sweet spot activity is that you're going where the energy is. You're taking that self-awareness and understanding of who you are, what you do, and why that matters, and figuring out where the energy is both inside your congregation and your community for moving forward with that. And energy is really important for congregations because most of our congregations, in fact all of them to a large degree, are volunteer organizations. And volunteer organizations have limited capacity. We've got a lot of things competing for our time as congregational leaders. And so you want to find things that people are really passionate about, that they want to go the extra mile to make happen, and that don't feel like you're just working across the grain. If that's what it feels like as you're doing this outreach work, maybe you need to reconsider your sense of who you want to be in your community if it feels that difficult. You want to find something that resonates more clearly. So you want to find that energy inside the congregation and the energy in the community, and use that energy to power your outreach of your congregation's mission and values into the community. So check out that sweet spot activity for a way to walk through this and a way to think about the types of areas that are helpful to do some design work for the experiences that would appeal to your visitors.